Okay, so before I start, this is something that's purely based on opinion. So if you disagree with something, I'm more than happy to discuss it in the comment section. You know, let's have a reasonable debate about things. But if you want a shouting match, you're not getting one from me. I'll get to my theory a little bit later, but before that, let me just stress that some of the blame lies with Naughty Dog here. Because Factions is going to be 9 years old this year, and with no information from the ND about Factions 2 and support for the original game having stopped for some time, let's just say there's definitely going to be some people out there who have obviously sank more than enough time into the game. They might be reaching to the point that they're just bored of playing normally, which in itself isn't a bad thing, but the main thing here is not everybody's going to react to that boredom in the same way. Some might just use different loadouts and playstyles, some might step away from the game altogether for a bit, and some may turn to the glitches that become more common in recent years, which is obviously going to drive some more people away from the game and has done so already. Especially knowing that nothing will realistically get fixed, because when's the last time ND did an update on the game? A hell of a long time ago.
You serious?
Now in terms of me personally, since I came back to this game a couple of months back, I feel like I've been more relaxed about losing the game. Like sometimes I'll just want to use weapons I'm in bad form with to try and get better with them again, or go pistol only, even if I might be up against some sweaty dudes in the lobby. Like it might cost me a game or two, but I feel like over constantly having to bring my best loadouts and sweating to try and win all the time, I feel like that's probably healthier for me, having less of a one-track mind on winning and being more just about enjoying myself and then seeing winning as a bonus. And this leads me to my point. Now it's not like I get involved in competitive matches or even claim to be anything special at this game, so I don't feel like I have a reputation to uphold. And yeah, I get the feeling that it's basically forbidden to ever underperform or give anything below 100% effort when playing Factions. Essentially, if you're not tryharding, then what the hell are you doing it? Get the hell out. But anyways, I don't think that just applies to me because, you know, content creator, I gotta get clips. I think this could be said for the majority of people still active, that this pressure to constantly perform and to win at any cost is greater when compared to playing most other multiplayer games. And that's pressure which for Factions ultimately becomes its biggest problem. And there's a few reasons why. Now, with the longevity of Factions owing to fewer and fewer newer players coming over time, and yes I mean actual new players, not your reset accounts, and with the nature of having 4v4 gamers on relatively small and open maps, you'll end up recognizing people that you've matched up with before quite easily, and in those matches, avoiding them entirely is almost impossible. And also normally, the lobbies only completely reset when the host leaves too, so you could be fighting with or against certain players for multiple matches at a time. And obviously the matches are 15 minutes long. If they take that long, you're gonna be there together for a while. And all of this makes the matches more personal, especially over time, which in my opinion is both a blessing and a curse of this game, because you could be playing for hours at a time, but it isn't always for the sake of just playing. Most of it, if not all of you by now, have either been involved in or seen the many situations that can keep someone from just leaving the lobby, whether it's, you know, trying to get that one win that's always been just out of reach, or more than likely getting back at someone because you don't agree with the playstyle or the trash talk or whatever. I mean, on that one, I know I'm as guilty as charged. See why I've been getting angry! Anyway, the potentially multiple match-long lobbies and the dwindling numbers of newer players can also present another kind of issue. This is something that I feel applies to all players, but in different ways. With the game being so old now, I personally feel that there's an underlying assumption that no matter what level you are, you should know what you're doing. And this is caused by two things. One is the fact that you can easily create a reset account, which quite a few people have, and also from PS3 players having to start from scratch in terms of level when coming to PS4, although with the PS3 servers having been shut down for some time now, this one's less common as time goes on. But either way, it means that genuinely new players to the game get a harder time from other players compared to other games, because they're expected to hit the ground running and not, you know, be human James Bond outbursts walking around with 00 scores. Also a hint to the new players, if you're on your own, just try and stay in no parties. If you go to parties allowed, you're gonna have a bad time. But anyways, enough of that PSA. That last part of the expectation, you know, not botting, it goes without saying for experienced players too, although I feel that with some of them, not all of them, There's always having an element of having to always bring the best loadout to every fight, otherwise you're either not trying or pretty much selling the match. Like, let's be real, how many times have you seen a 999 run around with like a full auto or pistol auto zoom or a flamethrower or something, and they're not memeing on purpose? Let's be real. Anyways, most of you can probably name a few players you face that have constantly used the same weapons, and probably also some of the more obvious perks, whether, you know, it be an aggressive burst rifle with sharpshooter, attack with cobra, or that one guy that always has bomb expert 3. No matter how good or bad the other team is. And what it all adds up to is this mentality that doing badly in a match is no excuse for anybody at all. It's either, you know, use bare loadouts, get good, or get out. Or for some people, there is another option. Like I said earlier, this wouldn't really be a problem if NZ kept support going for this game, but, you know, if they did, will this video exist? Probably not. Anyway, let's be real. If you played a multiplayer game where glitches are more regularly exploited than this one, then please let me know, because I'd be surprised if there are any. There's a lot of glitches that I can list, though. Obvious ones like wall shooting and getting out of bounds are unacceptable with the majority of players, and for good reason. And there's something else that I feel should be in that category, but it's going under the radar instead. And that's glitch sprinting, and to a lesser extent crab walking. Now I'm going to stand my ground on this. Both are game breaking and as bad as each other. And I'm going to explain why I feel that way. Factions is a naturally slower paced game compared to most, and sprinting is limited by both time and being visible on the radar when you do it. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, but both of those glitches negate that. And some users will point out by now that using those glitches makes them vulnerable because they force you to travel in a straight line as some sort of justification, when the fact is you wouldn't be that far ahead if you moved normally in the first place, especially without telling everybody within half a mile what size your boots are. So it doesn't matter to me, personally, if you're running, crab walking, or move walking like MJ with a Carolina Reaper shoved up his ass. It changes the game by allowing you to arrive at or escape from fights that you wouldn't normally. And if the whole of the team does it, good luck getting out of your spawn, let alone to a box. Anyways, mini rant about movement aside, when facing someone using these glitches, especially wall shooting, the best advice is just to leave the lobby, although you can take them on if you're brave, skilled, or probably stupid enough. But whether they bring them out only when they're down in the match or use them whatever the situation, at the end of the day all it boils down to is another method to avoid losing. And if you do score badly or lose, especially when using those previously mentioned glitches to the wrong people, you're definitely going to be reminded about it. Now, you've probably heard about or seen a so-and-so exposed video by now. And in all honesty, there's definitely a few of them out there on me. Watch them or don't, it's up to you. I'm not really that bothered. Point is, everything I've talked about previously, it's all ultimately ended up being about wanting to win at any cost. And that's at the core of a lot of these exposed videos, whether it's, you know, the personal nature that I was talking about first, and that's developed into a grudge against another player. Or the second thing about expectations and beating or carrying someone that's supposedly a god of the game, or, you know, just a content creator, hence why they someone me. Or the last thing I was talking about, which is catching somebody out that's using those glitches, especially if they still lose. I mean, sometimes the exposer is using those glitches themselves, but, you know, they won't show you that. Either way, whoever features in that video is usually, but not always, painted in a bad light. Sometimes for good reason, sometimes not. In my opinion, if someone's using glitches or if they're doing, you know, shady shit in the community, that's what an exposed video really should be. And I don't mind if they're jokes or in good taste, but more often than not, I'm going to be honest, it's basically a dick measuring contest of who they really think is the better player. Now, as a little bit of a side note, as a content creator, towards me, maybe some of it should be expected, but then again, like I said at the start, as a level of player I feel I am, I don't really have anything to prove or feel anybody else should have anything to prove by beating me, yet I still feel that I'm always one bad game away from apparently getting exposed, or at least being around about what a crappy game I had whenever I stream or something. But don't misunderstand me and think that's something against anybody, because it's not. I want to make myself 100% clear on that. What I believe is it's all ultimately a reminder that having an off day, not taking it seriously, or just genuinely being bested in a match or two can potentially be something that will stick around for a lot longer than that. I said earlier that it's probably been healthier for me to just play out matches rather than be focused solely on winning. And although I definitely still have my moments where I get wrapped up in the game, I feel it's true. I shouldn't have to stress about underperforming or have the fear of getting clipped in the back of my mind. Maybe be healthier for other people as well, but that's not down to me to decide. And I'm definitely not expecting the community to, suddenly start holding hands and sending love letters after this. This is reality. And besides, I'd hate that. But what is also reality is that this iteration of factions is hurting itself to the point where it's on its knees. It's an intimidating game for a new player to arrive into with no prior knowledge or help from others about the multiplayer side of TLU, which is more often than not. Plus, with the current must-win mentality snowballing from the previous points, not to mention the toxicity, which I barely touched on, it can be draining for experienced players of the game as well. And with Factions 2 still a mystery and likely to remain that way for some time, hurry up indeed, to help Factions 1 to cling on to life, in my view, it shouldn't cling on so desperately to winning. Loosening up a little should, loosen the grip it has on its own throat. But ultimately, all of this is only what I see. However, if there's anything you want to discuss, leave it in the comment section down below. But now, it's time for me to get out of here. So stay safe, and as always, stay class people. And I know this is a little bit late, but have a happy new year.